2, 3, 4.
Hey everybody, welcome. Deborah King Live. Delighted you could be here today. Let's start singing. Join us. The lyrics are right here on Facebook and YouTube.
This train is bound for glory. This train is bound for glory. This train is bound for glory. If you ride it, you must be holy. This train is bound for glory. This train. This train don't pull no jokers. This train don't pull no jokers. This train don't pull no sleepers. Don't pull nothing but the righteous people. This train is bound for glory. This train.
Awesome, you guys. All right, we're off and rolling. We're all warmed up. We hope you are too. Beautiful, beautiful sunny day here in Ojai. And let's take a second and meet the band. So we'll start with Lois, who runs the whole thing, pretty much. Okay, you guys. And goodness, just such a leader and a teacher. And right behind her is Natalie Gelman, amazing singer-songwriter in her own right. And we have Dahlia just behind her, who has just brought the most beautiful voice to us, really. Just really enjoy you, Dahlia. It's been great. And over here we got the guys. We start with Jack, our MD, and he can play about 4 different instruments and play and sing simultaneously, which I'm very impressed with Jack. And right behind him, I'm still trying to learn that. Right behind him is JB, beautiful voice. He's singing a part today, by the way, that I'll just send you. It's just gorgeous. And of course, he's on the bass guitar. And then right behind him, you'll see our guy David Telegian, our sax player, who's got a couple other instruments under his belt. And then behind him, you got Lee Rolog, who can really play both the violin and you're really amazing on the guitar, Lee. And today, we're so excited. We've been graced with a new drummer today. We've got Greg Weiser. Welcome, Greg. Yay. Okay. All right. So we've got a special song to sing right now. I've got Peace Like a River. Hope you'll join in with us. You know, it's an old standard that I bet you know and love, just like we do.
1, 2, 1, 2.
I got peace like a river. I got peace like a river. I got peace like a river in my soul. I got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I got peace like a river in my soul.
Like an ocean, I got love like an ocean. I got love like an ocean in my soul. I got love like an ocean. I got love like an ocean. I got love like an ocean in my soul.
I got joy like a fountain. I got joy like a fountain. I got joy like a fountain in my soul. I got joy like a fountain. I got joy like a fountain. I got joy like a fountain in my soul. I got joy like a fountain in my soul.
What a beautiful prayer, huh? I mean, really. That's what it is, isn't it? So I'm going to talk about a really interesting topic today. I'm going to talk about near-death experiences, NDEs. And I know you're going to be really fascinated to find out what that means to you with your life and death. It's really an interesting topic. So let's go there now. So NDEs, they can profoundly change our understanding of life and death, and it's a really interesting field. It's well worth our time. It can teach us a lot about living, which is the point of talking about them. So unfortunately, I've had 2 NDEs. I'll tell you about each of them in a minute. It's due to my fascination with high-risk sports, and once you've had one, you don't perceive life the same way at all. I mean, you really don't. It's a real paradigm shift, and it's so dramatic. I've talked to and read about many atheists who've done a 180, okay, and become a true believer in a future existence after death, an existence that's filled with love and light, an existence where there's no space, okay, to entertain any of the baser, lower emotions that we entertain all day long here on Earth. Our opinions that so confound and irritate us on this side of eternity. So although no 2 NDs are identical, the vast majority of them have a few of the following hallmarks. There's the sense of being surrounded by light. There's a sense of heading toward a light through a tunnel. There's sometimes the experiencers levitated off the table. Maybe they're having a surgery. They can watch first responders, and ultimately, though, something happens that signals to them to come back. But while they're in that NDE space, it's very calm and very reassuring, and they're surrounded with this palpable sense of loving kindness. It's amazing. Now, on very rare occasions, less than I think 2 or 3, 4%, NDEs for the unlucky guy or gal are like a nightmare, a dystopian nightmare. They're very rare. I've never talked to someone that had that experience, but I've read about them, and the ecstatic version is really common. So NDEs can be influenced by your childhood religion, especially if you had one that you were really involved with, where if you think the Creator is benevolent, you'll have one version of an NDE, not so much if you were brought up with an authoritarian belief. That authoritarian belief, though, can be extinguished during an ecstatic NDE. So the subject's just endlessly fascinating, all right? And especially for those of us that have had one. My first NDE happened when I was in law school, and I met my man who's now my husband, Eric. And on our first date, he decided that he wanted to take me on a mountain climbing trip. He was a mountain climbing guide from Chamonix. I could barely understand him. He spoke mostly French, and I didn't. He'd been in the French Special Forces. The whole thing was very sexy and appealing, and even though I had 0 experience in hiking or certainly mountain climbing, away we went in February, and I learned later that February is an inauspicious time to go mountain climbing. Summer would have been better, right? He outfitted me in heavy climbing boots, which were the style at the time, and a winter coat, and tied a 165-foot rope on my back the French way so that I was really wearing it. And he drove like a madman, typical Frenchman, up into the Sierras in California and parked next to the Cosumnes River. Wow, what an awesome sight it was. It was frothing and foaming like a wild animal. So we get out of the car. Eric strides off, starts hiking up the river on a kind of a rough trail, and I did my best to follow. I didn't want to tell him I didn't have any wilderness background. I wasn't exactly physically fit. I was kind of a bookworm, okay? And my obsession with mountain climbing, ski racing, and all things dangerous came later, all right, thanks to him. But the one sport I had mastered was swimming. Typical Californian, right? I really knew how to swim. And as I hurried alongside this mighty river, I could clearly see that there was no way it was swimmable. It was also probably about 50 degrees. So as we got further up the trail, the river started to completely disappear under granite, solid granite. And I could hear it rumbling down there as I ran alongside it. And we passed a good-sized waterfall. And then up ahead, I saw Eric dash across the granite where the river was underneath granite. And I tried to run across when I got there to catch up with him, but I slipped. I slipped on the wet rocks, and I slipped right into a pothole, the most ridiculous thing you can imagine. And my shoulders caught, and I thought, oh, I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be able to get out of this thing. But the current was so strong, I just got pulled right under. Well, I knew I was a goner, right? I was being tossed around down there like a rag doll, and I was being turned upside down. I saw submerged trees and big branches and rocks, and I thought, oh my God, this rope's going to catch on something. I tried to get it off. That was not possible. You know, it was freezing, by the way, and pretty soon I ran out of air. And suddenly, my extreme panic turned to this incredible state of calmness. And even though it was freezing, I started to feel warm and peaceful. And with this detachment, I saw my short life pass in front of me. I really did. And all of a sudden, I had this huge empathy for people, my parents and people I knew, my teachers. And then I heard a voice. And the voice sounded like it was in here or out there. I couldn't decide. But it said, not time yet. You have more to do. And suddenly I popped up into a pool. I realized I was just above the big waterfall. I was screaming madly and trying to, breathe with all this water in me. And there were some climbers on the cliff nearby, and they threw me a rope. Meanwhile, Eric's upstream doesn't know I've just disappeared. He has no clue where I am. And he's wondering, where is she and what am I going to tell her mother if I can't find her? So, our first date. So in the weeks and months that followed, I started to notice life looked different somehow. I was pretty green. I was not what you'd call enlightened. I was very young. And I noticed I felt more love for myself. I noticed that I was seeing people better that I met. I was understanding people better. And I noticed I started to have a sense of my purpose in life. Well, it wasn't until some years later that I realized I'd had a near-death experience, an NDE. So with an NDE, we want to understand how something that is initially traumatic, it's a sense of your own intimate demise, okay, it's very traumatizing. It can resolve into a confirmation that death is not real. It's just a transformation from there to here to something bigger, something better than what we're experiencing here. And what do we have here? We have discord, disease, arguments, politics, pollution, and hey, you name it, fill in the blank. Now, pre-COVID, there were more than 13 million Americans, just in America, all right, who've talked about having had a near-death experience. The number of NDEs has really escalated since COVID because of the frequent use of cardiac defibrillators. So they're bringing people back from, 9/10 dead now more commonly. But now there are other things besides a heart attack that can trigger an NDE. Rapid blood loss, electrocution, near drowning, that was mine, right? Traumatic injury, and suicide attempts. Now, most often during an NDE, the individual feels detached from their body. And then as I experienced it, you get this serenity, this warmth, this, you're no longer afraid of death. And a life review may take place. It did for me. There's frequently a sensation of being inside a tunnel. I didn't have that one, that you're going toward a light. I just felt like I was in the light. And at the tail end of an NDE, the experiencer is usually told, time to go back, more for you to do, or they'll just feel like they decided to go back. The process is the same around the world, across the globe. The only differences are that the light beings who appear to people are the ones associated with your specific culture and upbringing. Now, for those who experience a life review, the incidents that they review usually flash like on a TV or a video screen, and comes with emotions and especially regret for moments when our action or lack of action cause somebody else to suffer. Some NDE experiences meet a being of light, a guide. Sometimes it's a deceased loved one who sends them back. Sometimes they argue and don't want to go back. Now they've experienced what life on the other side of the veil is like, right? It's beautiful there. And then the next thing they know, they're back in their body. And they're awestruck by the enormity of the experience. They can't even talk about it. They lack words for it. It is so unparalleled. And what an adventure, right? So the fascinating thing about NDEs is the way in which they tell us, they show that consciousness continues after your heart stops beating, after your brain activity has flatlined. Isn't this fascinating? And even more intriguing is how the NDE changes the rest of your life. So people who return from the dead, so to speak, they possess this renewed appreciation for their existence, and they have this intense desire to help other people. I remember it so well. Many of us suddenly recognize for the first time our purpose in being alive. And it's like, now I know what I'm supposed to do. And we embrace our responsibility. We're really excited about it. We want to be a better person. And we want to be a reliable channel or conveyor of profound wisdom. So what I've noticed, I'll just segue out of NDEs for a moment. In a nutshell, well, let me just stop for just a moment and talk about how I do spiritual initiations for people. I've been doing them now for, I don't know, 40 years. And they convey the same thing as a near-death experience. So I specialize in that, in helping people initiate. It used to be I could only do it in person, but with COVID, I've learned how to do them on Zoom, you know, out of necessity. And I do a lot of them on Zoom. And it's uncanny how much the after effects of an NDE are the same as an initiation. Maybe I needed to have a couple of NDEs in order to become an initiator. That's very possible, right? If you take a look at the Tibetan Book of the Dead, which you might want to read someday, you'll see that the central message is that NDEs bring back from their first encounter is the same as the Tibetan Book of the Dead teaches. It's about what Buddha said about people who go to the bardo, which is the halfway, like a halfway house between here and the other world. If you're Catholic, you'd call it purgatory. And in this respect, the NDEers and the Tibetan Book of the Dead agree. Both focus not on death, but on life. Like is, how are we living our lives? Isn't this interesting? Okay, current research says that people who survive a close brush with death, 20% of them are having an NDE. Now, I want you to know that's an extremely high number for a shared experience. You know, most shared experiences are more like under 5%. So many experiencers of NDE say that during the event they feel one with the universe. They intuitively understand the why of why they're there and how everything works. There's no separation between them and everything around them. This is the same as when you have a big initiation, okay? They realize they have a spirit body, but it's not defined with the shape of their physical body, and it infuses everything. There's this palpable sense of peace, of presence, of compassion, of loving kindness. Their lower emotions, like, you know, jealousy or greed, are gone. There's no ego to sabotage them. They no longer feel separate from others. So you may, if you're an NDEer, you might meet dead relatives who come to greet you, maybe even some who died before you were born, or you might meet, as I mentioned, a being of light. And all communication there is telepathic. You just know what's in the mind of the other person. No words need to be spoken. You might meet a beloved pet. This is really common, by the way, in NDE experiences, who passed away before you are having this near-death experience. And not infrequently, they meet their pets before they encounter people. And I want to tell you that's something to really think about. What does that tell us about how important our pets are, right? So there's really no space or time in this other world, but when you come back to your body, some people felt like they'd been away for hours, some people days, months, sometimes even years, and maybe they've only been gone, like a minute, right? But the leave taking is so profound, it gives them another sense of time. All of us agree that have had an NDE that dying is easy. That's the one main thing you get out of it that's universal. No matter how traumatic the near-death cause was, the moment they died, they're released from the trauma or pain, and they blissfully fixate on how they have no fear or anxiety. They just experienced a millisecond before, right? So that's why NDEers have no fear of death. All right, that's part one. Isn't this an interesting topic? Let's take a break, sing a song, and we'll do part two. This is a fun one to sing. Be sure to sing with us. All the lyrics and everything are right there on Facebook and YouTube. Sing along with us. Okay, have a good time.
1, 2, 3, 4.
By the lights of the silvery moon, I wanna spoon to my honey our croon loves to honeymoon. Keep her shining in June. Your silvery beams will bring love streams. We'll be cuddling soon by the silvery moon. By the light, the dark, but the light of the silvery moon. Not the sun, but the moon. I wanna spoon, not croon, but spoon to my honey. I'll croon love's tune. Honeymoon, keep a shining in June. Your silvery beams will bring love streams. We'll be cuddling soon by the silvery moon. By the silvery moon.
I love that extra instrument sound that Natalie brings. That is so much fun, Natalie. All right, let's go do part two, huh? Interesting. NDEs. I'm firmly convinced, having had 2.5 NDEs, I don't think the third one qualified, but the second one definitely did, that they're real. They're so real, they feel more real than life. So do initiations, by the way. I keep thinking about that. I got to talk about initiations soon so that you can learn all about that too. So an NDE expands your mind in a way that the sages have for years called enlightenment or ultimate wisdom. But instead of taking decades or the rest of your life or many lifetimes to become enlightened, an NDE is a rocket ship, okay, whoop! And you embrace this existence very quickly if you survive. It makes it possible for your heart and mind and soul to become everything it's capable of in this body at that moment. Now, again, I want to say how thankful you should be that there's a variety of ways to gain the same stuff, that is love, compassion, and wisdom, other than having an NDE, which is really dangerous. What would I recommend? I'd recommend meditation. I'd recommend you do the sutras that I teach. And by the way, right this moment, I am currently teaching a class every Thursday over at Shift Network this week and for the next, 3 weeks or so, at on this very thing where you could come learn the sutras with me and a basic meditation practice that'll blow your mind, totally blow it. Okay, I guarantee this work. You just go to deborahking.com/sacred and take a look at it. Okay, it's a really fun journey, and I've actually taught thousands of people, thousands and thousands actually, to meditate and do the sutras. So now I want to tell you about my second NDE, again with Eric. Like, I should have seen a pattern here, right? With Eric Mountains and accidents. And here we were again in the French Alps, again mountain climbing, and a rock the size of a Volkswagen, like a Volkswagen Bug. I saw it coming. I'm like, oh no. I mean, you can't tell, your heart just stops, right? And I'm second on a rope, and we're up 3,000 feet, and my only possibility was to jump. Well, the ropes aren't really meant to sustain you. They're meant as just a backup where you might put a little bit of your weight on it. But boy, I jumped right off the cliff, and I, fingers crossed that the rope wouldn't get cut by the rock, because the rope in France isn't like in California that's nice, warm, solid, smooth granite. It's all new and choppy and dangerous and sharp. So there I am swinging out there over the abyss, 3,000 feet up, and I must have passed out because I had an NDE. Just before I went dark and don't remember anything, I remember as I fell, I remember looking down at my leg, and I noticed my pant leg was oddly empty. I remember thinking, how weird, where did my leg go? Well, what happened was the Volkswagen Boulder glanced off my knee on its way down the mountain. It's a miracle it didn't kill the other climbers that were on our team that were below me. The thing I remember was as it was happening, I had this odd feeling of detachment, and everything seemed in very slow-mo. I was very relaxed about the whole thing. I didn't feel any pain, and I was just swinging out in space. I felt completely at peace, and I just knew that everything was unfolding in the way it was supposed to. Then I got back in my body. I came to, the near-death experience passed, and I realized that, we still had to get to the top of the peak in order to go down the other side. So now I had to pull myself up arm over arm, and it took us 24 hours. The bad news is when we got to the top, which was maybe an hour away at that moment, and of course everybody had to slow down for me because I could no longer climb. I had to, get there. This is before you had a phone and you could check the weather, and you get to the top, and in France from the other side comes this storm right on top of us, and we're right on top, and I'm wearing a rack of metal gear, and I'm carrying a metal ice axe, right? And the lightning starts, and your ice axe lights up, and your gear starts to vibrate, and you're like, oh my God, am I gonna die by lightning or what here? It's very exciting. I guess I really gravitate to excitement, but again, a 24-hour hike out, and then, to the car, and then to the French hospital where I spent the rest of the summer, where I had plenty of time to watch my leg heal and glean the spiritual wisdom I so craved that I'd gotten from this NDE. So during both of my experiences, I felt intuitively that the end of my life wasn't going to end in one of these, that I had more time. I also had some external guidance that said it isn't your time yet. You haven't finished your work. So I hope this information on near-death experiences assures you that death is just a fantastic doorway. It is not the end. It's not a final destination for anyone. Although what lies beyond may be still a mystery to us, a vast majority of NDEs would suggest that whatever we've learned during this life that makes us afraid of death is based on misinformation. Or outright disinformation, right, from an authority figure or religion. Most speculation is fear-based, and we all have a primitive fear center, right? That's your amygdala in your brain that shrieks red alert whenever we're in a dicey situation. But somehow an NDE either bypasses or overrides the amygdala and shows us really there's nothing to lose and only much to gain, as our present life appears to be coming to a close. Now, again, you don't have to get close to death to experience the light. Every tradition has an enlightenment story, and if you're searching for that, I want you to consider the story of the great Sufi mystic Hassan. So Hassan when he was dying, one of his students said to him, "Hassan, who was your master?" And he said, "Oh, I had thousands of masters. One was a thief. Once I got lost in the desert, and when I reached the village, it was late at night, and everything was closed, and all I could find was this man who was breaking into a house. And I said, 'Where can I stay?' And he said, 'Well, everything's closed, but if you want to stay with the thief, you could stay with me.' Well, the man was so beautiful," Hassan said, "he ended up staying a whole month. And each night, the thief would say to him, 'Now I'm going out to my work to do my stealing, and you stay here and rest and pray.' And when he would come back," Hassan said, the thief would come in, and I would say to him, 'Did you find anything to steal?' And the thief would say, 'Not tonight, but tomorrow I will try again, God willing.'" Hassan said that the thief was never in a state of hopelessness. He was always happy and thinking of the future. So Hassan said, when I was meditating and nothing was happening, and I was getting so desperate, I felt hopeless, I thought I should stop, and then I would remember the thief who said every night, "God willing, tomorrow is going to happen." So that's Hassan's first master. He said, "My second master I want to tell you about was a dog. I was going down to get a drink in the river, and a dog came, and the dog was thirsty, but the dog looked into the river, and he saw another dog there. Of course, we know it was the dog's own image, right? And the dog got afraid. He would bark and run away. He would come back. He would bark at the image, thought the other dog, but he finally, despite his fear, he jumped into the river, and of course the image disappeared. So Hassan said, the dog taught me that the message comes from God. We have to jump in. We have to, in spite of all our fears. And then Hassan said, my third master was a small child. I came to a town, and a child was carrying a lit candle. And the child was heading to the mosque. And so I said to this little boy, did you light that candle yourself? And the little boy said, well, I did. And I said to the little boy, well, was there a moment when the candle was not lit? And then there was a moment when the candle was lit. And little boy, can you show me the source from where the light came? And the little boy laughed. He blew out the candle, and he said to Hassan, you saw the light go. Can you tell me where it went? If you can tell me where it's gone, I can tell you where it came from, because it's gone back to source. So my ego, Hassan said, was shattered in that moment. My whole knowledge was shattered. It disappeared, and I realized that I didn't need to be knowledgeable. I only had to be wise. He said, it's true, I really had no master. That does not mean that I wasn't a disciple, because I accepted the whole of existence as my master. Hassan said, I trusted the clouds, I trusted the trees, I trusted existence, and I had no master because I had millions of masters. I learned from every possible source. To be a disciple is a must. You have to get on the path, but what does it mean to be a disciple? It means to be able to learn, to be available, to be vulnerable to existence. With a master, you learn to learn, and the master is a swimming pool. where you can learn how to swim. And once you've learned, all of the oceans are yours. Isn't that a beautiful parable? Thanks to the Sufi master Hassan. All right, let's take a break and sing another song, and then we'll go straight to the red phone and we'll take calls. So lucky to have our own Mahalia here, who's going to sing a Mahalia. This is a very cool song.
Live right each day and smile on your way. It don't cost very much. Ooh, no, it don't cost very much. Oh, to please a gentle touch, to give a glass of water to a pilgrim in need of service. Well, you may not be an angel, and you may not go to church, but the good that you do, it will come back to you, 'cause it don't cost very much. Well, you may not be an angel, and you may not go to church, but the good that you do, it will come back to you, 'cause it don't cost very much.
Love that, don't you guys? Ooh. All right, let's go take calls on the red phone. Here's your chance to, talk about your spiritual experience. There we go. Hi, this is Deborah. How can I help you?
Oh, hi, Deborah.
Yes,
Oh, okay. Waiting for those beeps. This is Dolly.
Hi, Dolly. Where are you, Dolly?
I am in Los Angeles.
Okay. How can I help you?
Well, I'm calling because I have had chronic pain for well over 25 years. I have seen different healers, and I've learned a lot about myself, but really, it seems like it keeps coming back to me not having self-love.
Has it been
I don't know.
Has it been diagnosed in any way, Dolly? By a
It's
doctor?
like bulging disc. Yeah, bulging disc, unstable sacrum, things that, that they've sent me to physical therapy, but it doesn't.
Hasn't seemed to help.
No.
Are you working?
They put me on all kinds of. No, not right now.
Are you living alone?
I have a partner, a fiance.
Okay. And has it been a while since you've worked?
Yes.
Because of the pain?
Yeah.
And no injuries to your, feels like your low back?
I've had a couple. I was hit by a car as a pedestrian in 2019.
Was that the first? Was that the first time it started to hurt?
No, I'm 46. It started when I was about 21.
Yeah, you mentioned like a 25-year pattern, but the accident in 19 made it worse.
I feel like it, but it's kind of, I feel like it.
And physical therapy doesn't help?
There's some relief, but it doesn't completely help. Like my sacrum is really unstable. I'm getting adjusted through a chiropractor at least twice a week.
I would love for you to see a cranial osteopath that's in the academy, and one of my students on Facebook or YouTube will probably drop the link for you there in the chat. You can look you can look the academy. I think it's academy.org, cranialacademy.org, but I could be wrong. So somebody here will post it for you. I would try to see somebody. You said Los Angeles, right?
Yeah.
There's an excellent one in Santa Monica. Would be the only cranial osteopath in Santa Monica, so it'd be pretty easy to find. I think you could be helped with some more advanced hands-on work.
Okay.
And I don't want you to feel like this is a hopeless situation. It's not. You're basically a young woman, and you can walk out of this. I really want you to get some affirmations going that I am in perfect health. My back is in perfect health. I'm in perfect condition, whatever you want to say to yourself, but it has to be all positive and in the present tense about your physical condition. Okay. Yeah. This would be really important for you because I'm seeing this loop that's playing in your head. Yeah, and it's very negative. I want you to step out of that and turn that loop off. Just turn that whole belief system off and turn a new one on, and you can do it in about 21 days. You just have to put those affirmations, print them out and put them everywhere in the kitchen, in wherever you go, in your car, and in your purse, wherever you look. Next thing you know, you see an affirmation that says, I feel great. I am in perfect health. And meanwhile, find a cranial osteopath and go see somebody.
Okay.
Probably would take 2 or 3 sessions. Again, just be sure it's somebody in the academy, not someone else. You want this specific training.
Okay.
They're highly trained, highly. Yeah, it's an amazing calling. They're very gifted healers. All right, I'm so glad you called, Dolly. I want you to feel better soon.
Thanks so much.
All right, you take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right.
So cranial osteopathy is this amazing field. First, the individual goes to medical school and becomes an osteopath, which in California is the same as being an MD. And then they go on and they study osteopathy, and then they go on and they get another year or so in the cranial aspect of osteopathy. It's very advanced training, really advanced, and I often will feel guided to tell somebody to try one. Hi, this is Deborah. How can I help you?
Hi, Deborah. This is Angel.
Hi, Angel. Hi.
hear you.
Nice to
Hi,
talk to you too.
Thank you. I am in a domestic violence shelter right now with many women.
Oh, Angel,
But
I'm so
I
sorry.
have gone through, yes, I've gone through abuse since I was 2.
Uh-huh.
And it seems like a continuing program that does not go away. And I am very spiritual. I want to do the highest good for everyone, and I want to be able to help others. And I just can't seem to get out of this loop. It just seems like I land somewhere where, you know, I need to learn more, or I don't know what's going on. You can help.
Yeah, it feels like, well, here's what we do. We recreate what happened to us when we were little, and we just keep, like a mirror, we keep recreating it in order to heal it. You know, so if you had a violent parent, you'll marry a violent person, and so on, you know, till we finally get to the end of it and can clear and heal the wound. So you've already taken the first really important step, which is go to a shelter, and I want to really commend and applaud you for that. I know that takes a lot of power. Look how much power you have. Look at you. You know, that's so difficult to do, huh?
It is.
Yeah, no, I'm so,
It is.
I can't tell you how.
It started at 4-1.
Yeah, I'm so impressed, right? Because that is but you've already made the major first step, haven't you?
Yes.
You have to keep reminding yourself that your habit will be to go back, right? Because we keep going back to the scene of the first wounding. And so whoever's been violent with you and currently is just a mirror of what happened to you, as you mentioned, when you were little, right?
Yeah, it's crazy because it's even bosses, it's people that I work for, it's just everything, right?
Angel, it's like we're wearing a sign on our forehead that says abuse me.
Yes.
Yeah, no, that's my background too, is abuse. And you got to get the sign off the forehead. And that takes 12-step. Get yourself into a 12-step program, probably right there at the shelter. Do they offer that there?
No.
They don't have group counseling?
Not that I know of, no.
Oh, well, ask somebody there how to get involved with a 12-step, whether it's on a screen, you know, and you're attending Zoom calls, or I'm sure you don't leave, right, and go out?
No.
No, you stay where you're safe. Yeah, ask around and see if there isn't a way for you to attend a 12-step call for victims of violence, right, on your phone.
Okay.
Yeah, start asking, and it would definitely be the right thing, the next step. And read books about it. If you are you on Facebook?
I am.
Through your phone or what?
Yes, my phone.
If you private message me or somehow get the message to me, where I can send you something, I'll send you some books to read.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, no, I'd love to help you. Been there and know how hard it is. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, we're all rooting for you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I was. Of course, we're always hoping for an easy fix, right? But
there aren't any, huh?
No.
But here, I'll tell you the good news is, you know, you're making lemonade out of those lemons that life delivered, and that means that you're gonna be coming out at the top at a higher spiritual level than somebody that had a much easier time of it. The harder what I notice is the harder the early life, the higher the spiritual value. Really, it's like it just gives us a stepping stone. Yeah, no, let us help you. You stay connected with us on Facebook, okay? Yeah, drop me a note so I can help you a little. All right?
Where do I drop you a note?
You know, just get in the chat there on Facebook, and one of my students, I'm sure, will give you some help there. All right, I'm so glad you called.
Thank you.
Angel, you take care. Remember, stay safe. Don't leave the shelter. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Oh, my. hard. It would be very difficult, wouldn't it? Yeah. We have time for another caller, or are we? Looks like we're down to the wire, you guys. Time to sing another song. I want to introduce this song. You know this song. Okay, that's all right. And wait till you hear Jack sing it. You guys are in for a real treat, okay? This just blew me away when I heard it yesterday.
1, 2, 3, 4. Well, that's all right, Mama. That's all right for you. That's all right, Mama. Tell me anything you do. That's all right.
That's all right.
And that's all right.
That's all right.
Hey, that's all right, Mama. Anything you do. Well, Elvis, he done told me, and my mama done told me too. Talk to a woman when she ain't no good for you. That's all right.
That's all right.
That's all right.
That's all right.
Hey, that's all right, now, Mama. Anywhere you do. All right. Play, Dave. Yeah, now I'm leaving town, baby, and I won't be back no more. Don't you have to worry about me hanging around your door. That's all right.
That's all right.
That's all right.
That's all right.
Hey, that's all right now, Mama. Anything you do. Hey, that's all right now, Mama. Anything you do.
Woo! Go Jack. And hey, that was great guitar playing back there, Lee. Ooh, love it, love it. This is so much fun for me. I'm living my dream, you guys. I always wanted to be in a band, and here it is. So just a couple of closing remarks here. Number one, big kudos to behind the scenes Kathy Hetwer, one of my students who has just been so supportive and helpful, and go Kathy. You know, you've just been tirelessly working this whole season. That's number one. Number two, we have a retreat coming up September 1, 2, 3, 4 right here in Ojai. You just go to deborahking.com/retreat. We've still got a few sleeping rooms left. All of the activities are outside. You'll be joining us in the band. It'll be really fun. We'll be doing initiations. We talked about that. Probably lots of those. And, you know, we'll be outside under a pergola, totally safe. Just come read all of the news about the retreat, and it's not too late to grab a seat and come join us. I'm really looking forward to it. This is our last show for the summer season, and we'll be getting ready for the band. We will be getting ready for the live retreat that I just mentioned. We'll be back here on Facebook and YouTube, same time, same stations, right? Our next show will be Tuesday, September 13. We'll start a whole new season, and it's been great having you guys. I want to tell you, remember, I'm teaching over at Shift Network right now, and you'll want to come there if you want to learn the sutras and really deepen your meditative practice and set yourself up for your next initiation. Just look in the Facebook chat and the YouTube chat, and the link to that teaching that I'm doing on the next 4 Thursdays is right there. All right, you guys. Great being with you. You take care.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
This train is bound for glory. This train is bound for glory. This train is bound for glory. If you ride it, you must be holy. This train is bound for glory. This train. This train don't pull no jokers. This train don't pull no jokers. This train don't pull no sleepers. Don't pull nothing but the righteous people.